trust, and confidence. I've got a lot of thanks to give out here.
All the other stuff that he does is weird, but I cannot get over his obsession with sniffing people, particularly children and stuff like that, or getting really creepily close. I don't know how you excuse that. He's going for double sniff. Hello, we're going to take a look at Joe Biden's biggest gaffes and weirdest moment. And I'm sorry, this is going to be really awkward and cringy, so you've been warned.
Dick! President,
How are you, pal?
thanks for swearing at me.
I tell you what, easy to swear at you. We've got news. The Russian Sunak is now the prime minister. You're trying your best, but it never feels like enough.
What a stupid son of a bitch.
But guess what? We got a lot to do. You gotta say hi to me.
That's already like the first stages of his mind just wandered there. We have a lot to do. That's addressing something that's about to come up that's serious. And immediately his brain's got distracted. I have no idea how this guy managed to become president. I think people hated Trump so much that they put this guy in. Kind of reminds me a bit of the whole... Although Final Fantasy XIV is a good game, it was like, remember when World of Warcraft was falling off and everyone was having a go at them with Blizzard had all the sexual allegations, etc, etc, etc. People started going nuts talking about how Final Fantasy was the greatest thing of all time. And it's a good game, but they were overblowing it because of how much they hated World of Warcraft. I feel like that was the same sort of thing with Joe Biden here, where people get totally on board with Joe Biden. And there's going to be some comments from this that just do not... I have no idea how this guy got president. I don't know how he is like still in a position of power, judging off some of the stuff he said. And you can always knock it off and say, oh, you know, it's just a sort of, you know, a slip of the tongue or something, or he didn't really mean it. But how many times can you do this sort of thing, especially as a public speaker, the most important public speaker, the president of the United States, and get away with this? Dementia, yeah, there's early signs of dementia. It's not going to get any better. I'm curious if he's going to rerun, but I think his party probably aren't so keen on that, but he might be keen on it.
We go back a long way. She was 12, I was 30, but anyway.
Why would you say that?
This woman helped me get an awful lot done. Anyway.
Yeah, you see that smile slowly drop off that lady because they're still on board. This guy can say a lot of things and F up, but because they're sort of got that mentality, it's like the team football mentality, my team can't do wrong. They still have to justify it. You can see the cogs turn in her brain. She's trying to keep that smile going, but she knows what she heard.
I'm sick and tired of smart guys.
I'm sick and tired of ordinary people being fleeced.
I'm tired of being quiet.
Where I'm sick and tired. I'm just sick and tired.
We have this notion that
at this
somehow
point.
if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids, black kids, Asian kids. No, I really mean it, but think how we think about it.
I'm sorry to say.
That was an attack on defense. Think how we think about it. That was a sort of way to justify what he said without knowing what else he can possibly say to justify it, because you can't. You've already just slipped it. The best thing you can do is move on from that point, because if you try to sort of get others to then start thinking about what you said, well, that's going to make it worse.
Black kids, Asian kids. No, I really mean it, but think how we think about it.
I'm sorry to take so long, guys, but everyone knows I like kids better than people.
I like kids better than people.
I gotta say, like, if you do feel uncomfortable with this stuff, I would totally understand if you don't want to watch anymore. Just do it if you feel. He's gonna do like a few creepy things around people, in particular some children. I really like these are the ones that I just like. Oh, I have no fucking idea how this guy is not like in behind bars or something. How can you do this? And he's in front of a fucking camera. Like, doing this behind closed doors is one thing that's terrible. But there's people around him that know he's like this, because you can see from the gestures made by his wife, for example, that's like, okay, darling, that's enough. We'll get to that in a bit. It's like, why the fuck are you even doing this in the first place? It's just so weird. It's so uncomfortably weird.
Everybody knows I like kids better than people.
Look at Dan.
Now, very important thing I told my daughter and granddaughters, no serious guys who are 30.
Okay.
Right?
I'm not exactly sure what he says there, but it's just this sort of weird, creepy sort of hands on shoulder thing. I don't know. Was it like no serious guys until 30? Like whatever he's saying to her, it's just like completely unnecessary and totally unwarranted.
No what?
No serious guys till you're 30.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's the dad, I think. The dad's looking back at a security guy going, what the fuck?
No what?
No serious guys till you're 30.
Keep that in mind.
People are waiting for relief. I got them $1.9 trillion relief so far. They're going to be getting checks in the mail that are consequential this week for childcare. A lot has been happened already.
I love that black and white thing because it really was like a schizophrenic move there. His mind just slipped again. Like, what was that? Where did it come from? You're the fucking president of the United States. You need to be professional. And yes, Donald Trump certainly was not very professional at all, but at least he spoke coherently. Whereas this is like just kind of, it's bizarre.
Number one. Number two, I'm going to fight like heck. Just remind him, I wrote the bill on the environment. Why would I not be for it?
Guess what? Employers can't find workers.
I said, yeah, pay them more. This is an employees bargaining chip now. What's happening? They're going to have to compete and start paying hardworking people a decent wage. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
Oh, why? That reminds me of the Kramer incident. Have you ever heard of the Kramer incident? Look it up. It pretty much ended that man's career. I don't think he's a terrible person. I just think he let something slip that was obviously inside that he shouldn't have inside. But, you know, people are who they are. Some people have a little... Everyone's probably a little bit racist. Everyone's probably a little bit fascist. Everyone's probably a little bit sexist. There's just different degrees. And unfortunately, that came out big time on that Kramer one. The highest degree where he didn't take an audience member sort of booing him too well. And instead of sort of knocking it on the chin, taking it on the chin and just moving on, he just went from that degree of probably under somewhat control to boom, just like, whoa, how did we get here? Like, what was he thinking? I don't know, man. He needs to be taught how to do public speaking better. I mean, this is your job pretty much, isn't it? You don't threaten someone in these sort of situations because where do you go from there? That's not going to put you in a better spot, right? That one was like, that could happen. I don't think that's... I mean, yes. I mean, he's a bit clumsy. He's older and stuff like that. But that could happen. I don't think that one's so bad. This one's a little bit more awkward. He's got to get to the top of the stairs. He's trying to get up there, but... Well, at least he still gives a salute. That was a little classy, at least.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I think you know how much it means to me to have you swear me in today, and I thank you. Trust and confidence. I've got a lot of thanks to give out here.
Those, honestly, like, all the other stuff that he does is weird. But I cannot get over his obsession with sniffing people, particularly children and stuff like that, or getting really creepily close. I don't know how you excuse that. What would you say where you would be like, that's perfectly rational behavior? I've never known anyone in life that's done that, ever in my entire life, where someone's just like, oh, gotta get as close as possible. It's just like, start sniffing people. Who does that? That is really, really fucked up. Honestly, I cannot get over this. And if you really pay attention at the start of this scene, and I just noticed it on the second time watching it, so you'd really have to be paying attention. He gets ready for a sniff real early, but then holds back a tiny bit. And I'll show you. As soon as she comes over, he's getting ready for that sniff.
How much it means to me.
See? He's pumping it up there. Look at that. Look at the eyes. He's in that zone. And the nose is drawing in. And then he goes back and locks onto this gentleman.
To have you.
One more time, so you can be a little bit extra creeped out. We'll watch it in slow motion.
Know how much it means.
Let's do this. Enjoy the sniff.
to me.
There it is. You see that? You see how he dipped down a little bit there for that sniff? He's going for double sniff.
To have you swear me in today, and I thank you. Trust and confidence. I've got a lot of thanks to give out.
He gets like close enough to do it. Like, what are you doing? You're already like overstepping your mark by having your hands on her shoulders for that long. And then the sniff. I don't know how you can excuse this.
Here, first and foremost, to my perfect wife, Stephanie, my wonderful son, Will, and my daughter, Ava, already mentioned.
And you guys can sit in the edge or what, if you I don't want you to have to stand all along, but
Brings him in.
by the way, he gave me permission to touch him. All right?
Sure he did. Poor kid doesn't know what to do in this circumstance. Off he goes.
Expand your capacity is through the partnership that we have, the federal and state government.
Yeah, it's just odd thing to say. Like, why are you even bringing that up? It's like, oh, I didn't do it. It's that whole thing. Like, you got caught doing something. Oh, I didn't do it. Like, saying it out loud doesn't mean that you didn't fucking do it. Or, you know, like you suddenly just swept it under the rug and no one's thinking about it. Now we're thinking about it more. It's like the Barbra Streisand effect.
Along with local governments.
Something on your chin.
This issue is ongoing each year, as we have discussed. It gets worse. It affects real people.
It's probably
Thank you,
it.
Boris. And I want to thank that fellow down under. Thank you very much, pal. Appreciate it, Mr. Prime Minister.
Oh, this is like, yeah. What are you doing? You can clearly see she's uncomfortable. What are you
No
doing?
matter what they're...
That moment right there tells me more than just what's happening here. What she does. What she does says a lot more to me. Watch her, how she behaves about this situation. See, he goes for a kiss. That's like, yep, okay. You stepped, you've had enough, you've had your fun. Now keep it professional, is basically what she's saying in that simple hand gesture. There's like a sign there in her eyes. Even though the quality ain't that good, you can see it. There's a symbol there that comes through in those eyes that says, that's enough. You've all seen this before from a woman, I'm sure. And probably a man as well. It's like a, you've overstepped the line. That's enough. You stop now. It's almost like a scolding from your parent or something. You do that again, you're in big trouble. You cannot do that.
Prime Minister.
I just don't get... I mean, I'm sorry, but she's so uncomfortable immediately here. And I hate this sort of... Everyone is just like... They've all got this kind of like awkwardish, like, this is okay, right? This is all right. Sort of smile on their face. It's not genuine smiles or something like that. They know this guy's a fucking weirdo. And it's just, I don't know, man. Yeah, the kid's pulling back. What is that? Why would you fucking do that?
2, 10,
Pisses
12,
me off.
15. Oops, stepping on a... It's black. Anyway.
What the hell did he just say there? We're only halfway through. And I've already seen this before. And I'm still getting pissed off seeing this now.
What their cost? 2, 10, 12, 15. Oops, stepping on a... It's black. Anyway. Oh, man, this is boring.
Don't bring your kids to this guy.
Boring. Charlie, this is boring. Come on.
I call on you to commit to concrete actions to stop the destruction of this magnificent planet. This conference is one of the most important meetings in history. On behalf of we, the 15, I ask you.
Most importantly, I mean, in all fairness, this one ain't so bad. He's an old guy. He obviously has to do a lot of traveling on the airplane, and he's going to these boring conventions. You know, I don't care too much if he's going to fall asleep on that one. But the other stuff he does is like really fucked up. I don't like that.
Please welcome the Prime Minister of Italy, Mario Draghi.
The brain's not told him to let go of the hand yet. Keep going. You can see her loot though. She had like 3 seconds there of like trying to pull the hand away there. You can see like the fingertips like slowly coming out, unlocking, which will like open up his hand a little bit. There it is. There a bit more, and there it goes.
And by the way, you know, I sit on the stand.
I guess that might be a politician move. You could make that argument, sort of like holding the baby or putting your arm around a child or something like that. But this guy does it so fucking much at this point. I'm starting to get really freaked out.
And to get hot, I got hairy legs that turn, that turn.
I think it was towards the end of his like getting into the last few speeches and such before he became the president is when it was kind of clear that this guy has to have dementia or something like that. He has to. I mean, I feel like, obviously I'm not a US citizen, so I'm not entitled to necessarily speak upon this sort of behalf, but I would assume if I was a US citizen, I would want to know whether my president had any serious medical situations which would affect his ability to do his job. For example, if I want to drive on the road and I'm seriously fucking drunk, I don't have the right to drive on that fucking road because I'm going to affect other people's lives. Because I would be incoherent, I wouldn't be able to react in time, I would be bad at doing my job of driving. There's a reason why you're not allowed to do that. So if the person who's in charge of the fucking country clearly has signs of like dementia that can affect your brain, which means you're not going to be saying the right thing or doing the right thing in many occasions, and it's only going to get worse. Don't the people have the right to know about that information? Do we know? I feel like they should know. I really feel like it's being hidden though.
Blonde in the sun, and the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again.
You say don't forget Biden was born with a stutter, so sometimes he messes up speeches. But I've actually seen clips of him, like it was mentioned, like about 10 years ago or so. A little bit, when he's a little bit younger, he's a little bit more in his 50s, 60s, and he's speaking very coherently. He's very clear, and he even nails some other politicians and sort of puts them down in a sort of aggressive, quite clever manner. But I don't know, like at this stage, how do we get here?
They look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
It speaks for itself. He needs to be told where to go next now. Everyone's on their phone now.
By the way, I very much worry about this guy's biceps. His biceps are big as my calves. Look at this. There's a man. I hope we're on the same side.
He's Russian.
I don't care who he is. He's got some real biceps. We call them guns.
This is the sad moment. Barack Obama, whether you liked him or not, that guy exudes charisma. Holy crap. Like, you can just see there's a level of confidence in that man when he speaks, and everyone's sort of like, you know, all around him. They just gather around him. It's crazy. I think these ones are just kind of funny. I feel like if you did enough of these speeches at these other places that you've never been to, you're not always going to know where to go and what to do. I mean, at the end of the day, like I say, he's just a public spokesperson, isn't he, really? I mean, he's the president. He's got a slightly more important job than that. But if you break it down, it's kind of what it is. He doesn't always get filled in or won't always remember where it is he's supposed to be. But, yeah, they are funny to watch, at least.
Mr. President, thank you. At the end of such a momentous event,
yeah, you can probably walk off the stage.
The word thank you seems kind of inadequate.
On the steps we've taken, he said, and I quote, The combination of private enterprise and government working together has been really successful. He went on to say, all the way through the supply chain, there's a lot of innovation. Because of the actions we've taken, things have begun to change. End of quote. In the past 3 weeks, the number of containers sitting on docks, we're going to seize their yachts, their luxury homes, and other ill-begotten gains of Putin's kleptocracy.
Yeah. We got it.
Kleptocracy. The guys who are the kleptocracies.
I wonder if there's any psychologists in chat or anyone that is actually like someone that studies, like doctors. I'm sure there's one person out there. That seemed like a telltale sign again, where it seemed like the cogs weren't working correctly. Like this, I don't know dementia well enough because I can't remember about it. But the problem really is I'm sure there are really telltale signs. You know, like when someone has a stroke or something like that and like their face just starts to sort of go off on one side. I feel like dementia patients must have a lot of these telltale signs. And I feel like that was one of them.
Kleptocracy. The guys who are the kleptocracies.
It's the look of his eyes and his brain. It doesn't look like there's something there. It's in those moments. But, hey, he's too old for this shit. Yeah, he was like 78 or something when he got into presidency. And I think he's going to be 82 soon or something. So I think, yeah, you probably want to have all politicians be probably a maximum age of 70, I would assume. Or 75 at the absolute top. Like, you'd have to be 75 by the end of your term. So you'd have to be like 70, basically 70. Yeah, if you start at 70, then you've got 4 years. I mean, if it's other countries, you might just be a president or, you know, in charge of it for 30 years or 40 years, but that's a whole nother issue. But in terms of America, it's 4 years. So, yeah, 70 should Trump started at 70? He's a lot more coherent. I guess, unless you can do like a test for coherency or like whether there's mental issues. But you don't want people too young. You need people that have lived life and have experiences. But you can clearly see there's a problem when people get too old as well. There needs to be a healthy balance. So somewhere in between the 50 and 65 range would probably be pretty good, I would say. Late 40s you can probably get away with. But that's a very early start, I would say. Oh, well, there you go. There's Joe Biden. I'm sure there's plenty more clips. What do you think about some of those clips? A lot of it is kind of goofy and silly and not that harmful. But it's the sniffing ones. I just cannot wrap my head around how that works and how you can do that. Like, if he was on the right and say, for example, that was Donald Trump doing that, people would be fucking in arms. The left would be in arms about that sort of behavior. But because the left support Joe Biden, they sort of do this, you know, like that sort of fake smile. We're just pretending. We kind of saw it. We know it happened, but we're just going to sort of keep smiling because we need him to be in charge so we can keep pushing our ideas. It's like that has that sort of symbolism. I don't care if you're on the left or the right. Like, that shit doesn't fly as far as I'm concerned. If Donald Trump was doing that fucking shit, you kick him out. The same thing with Joe Biden. I don't care. Like, that stuff is just fucking creepy.